Hello, Martin and Luigi. One of us is one, and the other is the other.
I'm the other.
Brilliant.
And the
We
one.
are cracking out a review special, a quickfire review special, because we have a few things to talk about. Martin has seen Power
Rangers.
I have seen Get Out, and I have listened to This is a megaton. This is huge, Martin.
Huge?
The biggest album of the year. The best rock debut I have heard in at least 7 years.
Right, okay, go.
Has dropped. They're from Southampton. They're called Creeper. And to this point, if there's a better album than this year, I will be all about, it.
Okay.
It's huge. I'll wank all over that later.
Ooh.
But let's kick things off in Mighty Morphing style with Power Rangers, which you have seen and I have not. So tell me about it.
I witnessed it with my eyeballs and my earlobes.
What is it? What's Power Rangers?
Who doesn't know what Power Rangers are? The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Of course, we all grew up in the 90s.
They are a ridiculous bunch of teenagers. I would say ridiculous. Yeah, they're ridiculous in the way that they fight these like over-the-top, outrageous villains.
Yeah.
They're Blue Ranger, Red Ranger, Yellow, Pink, Black, White, coloured Rangers, and they've got these droids that combine. They're all like dinosaurs, and
this is the Mighty Morphin part of it. Yeah.
Yes, this is
where they all Mighty Morph, and
so they morph into these suits, and then they've got these droids that they ride, and then they all combine into a giant Zoid Transformer man.
Yeah, and they fight shit, and you've got Elizabeth Banks as, what's her name? Rickard Rowena or something like that. What's her name?
Rita Repulsa.
Rita Repulsa, and apparently she's in a whole other film, a whole kind of really over the top panto extravaganza. But so
that's exactly it. That is exactly.
We've all seen, what was it? What was the one with the Ooze, the Great Ooze? What was the 1999 or 2000 film? What was that one?
Oh, with the White Ranger. Tommy is the main.
Yeah, what was that one called? Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and it was about
the movie.
Ooze. It was like the movie, but it was about the bad guy. I remember, to be honest, I actually used to, when I was literally like 6, I was obsessed with it. I thought it was the best film ever. Anyway, point is,
I named my dog after it.
Yeah?
Tommy.
There you go. So, tell us about it. Is it good?
Mate, it is definitely, it's good. It's definitely worth a watch. It is, like you touched on Elizabeth the Banks, being a completely different movie, being a completely different movie to the rest of the characters who are playing more of a sort of slightly gritty, serious role.
Yeah, because it seems like the whole thing's like kind of slightly more like teen-centric for the kind of the teen audience that like, this kind of new wave of teen fiction cinema, stuff like that. They're kind of doing that, where they're all kind of, they've all got problems, and there's like, something I'm interested that I'd like to hear about is there is a character who's kind of on the autism spectrum. They try and throw it. There's an LGBT character. They're trying to kind of appeal to the kind of, in a very mainstream Hollywood way, trying to hit the kind of touchstones of a diverse cast, which is kind of interesting, and in its slightly too self-conscious way, seemingly quite progressive, maybe, or
yes, totally.
But then this is, apparently Elizabeth Banks is just doing the exact same thing that the 90s TV shows did, like insanely camp.
Just in less clothing.
Oh.
She looks quite good.
I've always thought Elizabeth.
Oh, careful.
That was a Freudian slip of the tongue, Elizabeth. I've always thought Elizabeth Banks looks very nice.
She did. She looked really good, actually.
So hit us. Tell us.
Hit us with it's like you say, the slightly on the spectrum character Billy, played by R.J. I always mess up his last name, Seiler.
He's the kid from Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. He plays Earl in that film. Which weirdly, last week I was talking about Kong, which has the me from Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, and they're both excellent in that film, and it's good to see. And apparently, he's kind of, is he maybe the standout of this?
I've heard he is a complete standout. He's funny. He's just he is the reason, like, to go watch it. Him and Alpha 5, who's the little robot with his eyes so far
Hey, yeah,
apart
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah,
hurts.
yeah, yeah.
He's
That,
he is they couldn't have got it more perfect, I think.
really?
It was he was fantastic. Just like,
Wicked.
he's funny. He's got every little thing that they're doing when he's around. He makes these little comments that you kind of hear, which just tickle you.
That's good because a lot of people find him like the kind of Jar Jar Binks character. Like some people find him a bit too annoying, but
Oh, I find him
that,
perfect.
yeah, he's a bit like you, isn't he?
What? Just amazing. His eyes are completely opposite to mine
Oh right, yeah. What? Far apart as opposed to. If anyone hasn't seen Martin,
there.
imagine imagine if humans started out as cyclopses, cyclopi,
Cyclize.
cyclopses, and then they evolved as opposed to the Darwinian form of evolution that we come to know today. Imagine that we started out for some reason as cyclopses and then evolved into the bi-eyed. That makes sense, doesn't it? The bi-eyed, the dual-eyed creatures that we are today. Martin's like the step between that. Like the eyes had split. The singular eye, the mono eye, had split into two eyes, but hadn't decided to kind of move apart much yet. Is that a fair summation of?
Yeah, like, they work fine.
They do. You look good.
I can tell distance really well.
Yeah, you look great.
Thank you.
But I guess your peripheral vision.
I struggle.
Anyway, sorry, carry on with the film. You liked it.
I liked it a lot. This it's along with the same sort of weirdness as like Elizabeth Banks' character, is the whole touch on Krispy Kreme
I've heard.
donuts play a huge part of this, which
Yeah.
is it's funny at first, but then it just gets to a point where, this is actually a serious thing, and like
It's a big advert.
they're gonna run with this, and it is like one of the pivotal sort of locations to the end.
Right.
It's that side of things is weird. The side of things where there's Rita Repulsa's raising her golden lovely that is going to smash its way into the world. That's where the film sort of goes downhill from me. Like,
Yeah.
I enjoyed the whole origins, the gritty sort of, they've all got their own backstory where something just isn't quite right for them.
It seems like quite a mix. You've seen Chronicle, I assume.
I don't know. No, I haven't.
You never seen the found footage superhero film with Michael B. Jordan and what's his name?
Harry Potter.
No, Harry Potter's friend. Gosh, what is it?
Ronald Weaseface.
No, I was talking about Harry Potter's friend because they were actually in a film together called Kill Your Darlings about the Beat Poets. So that was a very niche reference and not one that
Slightly.
I imagine people. But Daniel Radcliffe and what's his name? The guy who looks like everyone says looks like a young DiCaprio who is in A Cure for Wellness.
Oh, I know. Is he the same? Oh, I don't know. Is he the same guy that's in the new Valerian film?
What's Valerian?
Oh, we'll talk about it. Valerian and the Planet of Thousand
Yes,
Cities.
the new
and
Luc
Planets.
Besson film. Yes,
Which looks
so
really
we are
good.
rambling beyond belief. Let's try and strip it back. But as I understand, kind of thematically and stylistically, it seems like Chronicle, which was a kind of found footage superhero origins film, and The Breakfast Club got smushed together
Smish.
and made and coated with a Power Ranger skin.
Yes, I'm feeling that.
Is that fair enough? Do you
Yes.
think?
Well, yeah, they meet in detention.
Yeah, exactly.
It's I would run with that. And
Yep.
like I was saying, that's the best part of the film. From the moment they start morphing and the droids roll out and there's a gold, let's call him Ronald Weasley running around with his big weapon,
Right.
it becomes a bit silly.
But is that not what you pay your
That is
your money
what Power
for?
Rangers is, yeah.
It's
It
funny
is.
this because I have heard this that it's actually the kind of which people would have never expected. It's the character beats and it's the character interactions. Dane DeHaan, sorry, that was his name. I had to get that out there from Chronicle. But yeah, it's weirdly for a film about people donning superhero outfits and morphing into giant mechanized animals and then morphing together again into even bigger robot beasts. It's interesting that the kind of the selling point and what works in the film is the kind of the character beats and the interaction, which is good, I think, to a point. it's not good if the spectacle then doesn't,
No.
live up to that as well, which sounds like
So for
maybe.
me, I don't know how well the next. I presume there's going to be another movie on it. It
That's what they're
makes
hoping.
sense.
Everyone wants that, don't they?
But
Depends how much
how are
money
they
it
going to
makes.
get that fill? How am I going to get that fill of the origin side of things? The characters, where their progression.
Yeah.
There's a really good touch. I really enjoyed the very start of the film, where Bryan Cranston's character, who he isn't just a big floating head,
Zardon.
Zordon, who he's a big floating skull.
Yeah. How is Cranston?
Really good, but
Because he has a tie to the original show, didn't he? Voice someone.
yes, he
Didn't he
did.
voice?
Someone
Did,
called. I think one of the characters was called Cranston.
that was it as a reference to him.
Yes.
Got cool. Anyway, carry on.
Yes. So at the very start of the film, he was actually the Red Power Ranger, which I did not know about. I fully enjoyed that. There was a sort of world-ending battle with the Power Rangers, the verse Rita, and I love that kind of thing. I really like the whole, full-on origins of the Power Rangers and the whole backstory of them. And that isn't going to be there if they make another one.
Hmm.
I don't know where they're going to go with it. So I'm kind of
But
worried.
has this sold you on a new one? Would you be someone who would go to the cinema to see a new one?
What, saying what, number 2?
Yeah, and number 2, following continuation of these characters.
Just
Would you
to
want
see what
to
happened. But if it's anything like that last 20% of the film, I would not want to go.
Interesting. So overall, what would you overall thoughts then?
Overall, 8% of the film is definitely worth watching. Just
8%.
Leave as soon as they start morphing. Leave.
I understood 8%. I was
80.
like,
80. No.
I thought you said 8. I was like, who's going to go see 8% of a film?
No. 80. Full on 80% is worth watching. As soon as they
Yeah.
morph, just feel free to get up and leave,
Okay.
and then come back for the very end credits because there's quite a nice touch.
Is there a little sting?
There's a little sting, but also I will add actually, just before the film ends, I'm not going to ruin anything, but there's a really nice touch linking back to the original movie that we mentioned earlier on.
Yeah.
End credit scene is there's a nice, really interesting thing there, which they're definitely leaning on to in a second film, which you can see where I might get my fixes from. Actually, now I think about it.
Okay. And what would you rate it?
I would rate it a 3 out of 5.
So 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Wicked.
If you like.
Cool. That's, to be honest, I think that's as good as people would hope for from a Power Rangers film. So I'm still, given the opportunity, I will try and catch it.
You should. Catch
You've
it
sold
with
me
both
to it.
hands and your face.
Yeah, catch it with my mouth open.
And cock it out.
Ah, bloody
Oh.
hell. So, anyway, on to round 2. I saw Get Out today.
Get out.
Get out of
No,
here.
you didn't.
I did.
Ah! What is it?
Jordan Peele's, from Key and Peele, the celebrated American comedian, writers and actors sketch show of Peele. Very, very smart, very funny guys. They both were in the film Keanu last year together, which was a funny comedy. Had a cat named after Keanu Reeves, obviously, which I liked. Who in a vision at the end spoke with Keanu Reeves. I'm going off on a tangent. Get Out is off the fucking chain.
Get out.
This is, if not the best film of the year so far, in the running. Like, I'm talking top 1.
Mate, that's a big shout.
This film is ridiculously good. It is everything I look for in a horror, in a film, anything. This is Jordan Peele's first film as well. He has executed something so deftly and smartly with so much wit and, just confidence that it's very, very rare to see. You'll have, this is harkening on to something I'm going to be talking about later, which is in terms of, first outings for a band that know their first go, but let's not jump ahead of the gun. Basically, I always go on. This is really, it feels like a bit of a vindication. I always go on about how horror films are the best medium, the best genre for allegory and for discussion. And you can discuss really interesting themes and, polemics and social and cultural disconnects and so on in a very accessible, in a frightening way, in a way that you don't have to have an argument rammed down your throat to be able to, to get it. You
Yes.
don't have to have something that's worthy and Oscar baiting to get what the filmmaker's trying to say and do. Basically, it's about a young African American dude called what's his name? Is it shit? It's Chris, isn't it? Yeah.
Harry
Well,
Potter.
played by our own British Daniel Kaluuya, who you will have seen off. He's been on TV and things like that. I think he was in
I
Black.
think he was in Black Mirror. Yeah, that's
I
what I
think he was in
think
Black
of.
Mirror as well. That's where I recognise him from. He is excellent. You wouldn't even know that. He's got the accent work down, but that's beside the point. There is an interesting. Well, there's a pseudo argument going on about Samuel L. Jackson, who does praise the film, says something. Who's always been very queued up on on modern racial relations and things like that. He has an argument that it should have been an actual African American actor as opposed to a black British actor, which is there's a John Boyega, star of Force Awakens and Attack the Block and stuff, had something to say. He disagreed with that quite
Yeah.
vehemently, and he says it's an argument that doesn't need to happen because Samuel L. Jackson's point is this is about American racism as opposed to British racism. I don't care about that. Daniel Kaluuya is brilliant in this film. He's absolutely sterling, and it's about him, his character, with this nice, well-to-do, very, very like attractive girlfriend who he's going to be going to visit her family for the first time. In they're out in the they live in the
Sticks.
in the outer lands, yeah, in lovely middle, like upper middle class mansion, very progressive liberal upper middle class guys. She within the first minute goes after saying this, he asks, like, look, do they know I'm black? And she's like, in her super progressive liberal way, goes, why should they? Why would that matter? And he's just like, well, I just thought it's. And
I
she's
have
like,
seen the trailer for this.
yeah. And she says, well, look, my dad is he's so not racist. He would have voted for Obama for a third term if he could have. And then true to this, in the first minute of him meeting with dad takes him aside and it's like, I would have voted for Obama for a third term if I could. It's this really passive, understated forms of liberal racism that are kind of insidious in our society and so on, that are expressed so well in this kind of very understated, very uncomfortable, the way the dad kind of culturally appropriates his language, starts saying things like my man and this thing and stuff like that, which is this wonderfully, you can see it. It's so understandable and relatable, but kind of uncomfortable, and that sets the stage for something much more sinister. If you've seen Stepford Wives, it's doing something similar to that, but with race relations as opposed to gender relations and the matriarchal patriarchal society. This is doing something with very, very contemporary racial issues, but in a very, very undercutting way, in a way that isn't overtly this is what racism is. It's much, much smarter than that. And it's doing that in the framework of just a bare bones, perfectly executed thriller. Like, there are these other black characters that are the groundskeeper and the maid and the
Right.
they seem, something's very off about them. They I don't want to give anything away. There's something going on behind the scenes. They are not acting ordinarily. In this, hypnosis comes into play. The father's a neurosurgeon. The mother's a psychologist and therapist who deals in hypnosis. So
Right.
psychological aspects come into play, and I don't want to give anything about where it goes, but things aren't quite as they seem. And once it kicks into gear, it is a proper, balls to wall, nail biting thriller. And it's done so well, so smartly, with so much wit, conviction. I just haven't seen anything quite this good within this realm.
Wow.
Well, at least all year. I mean, there was some good thrillers, horror films last year, but and it doesn't skimp on any of the genre trappings. You've got gore, you've got the deaths, you've got jump scares. It's not above being an all-out horror film at all. It's it's as much a horror on the kind of superficial, visceral levels as it is on the kind of social satire and the horror of this kind of this insidious racial polemic that Jordan Peele's delivering. It's not. It doesn't have any ideas above its station. It knows what it's doing and it does it just perfectly. And there are turns, and by the end, I'm going to wait a bit, but there's some really, really smart, really, really brave allusions to very big, very, very topical questions and debates that are done with wit and with humor and subtly, and none of it's, well, I don't know. I don't want to say anything else, but there are people, the way characters and stuff turn out, and the way they're kind of, as a director, Jordan Peele, it shows, cinematic muscles that you would expect to only be on display from a, seasoned horror veteran. But he does things, the way he turns characters, the way he manipulates them, the way the camera looks at them from the beginning of the film to the end of the film is masterful, and it just fucking works. It nails it. It's, like I say, it's in a year that we've had already, obviously, all the Oscar contenders: Moonlight, Silence. I saw Hidden Figures the other day, which was fab. La La Land, everything, Hacksaw Ridge, whatever you want to lump in. This is by a mile my favorite film. Like, I've had this is my kind of shit, man. It's
your shit. See, for me, I'm not down with that whole horror side of things.
Horror thrillers, yeah.
I didn't see the point of it.
Yeah.
Maybe I do need a film like this that you're saying is just like.
This is doing something. It hits the nail on the head. It's doing something interesting. It's got an argument. It's got a perspective that it's dealing with, and it's dealing with in a really interesting way. You don't see, I don't know, you don't see genre films. Genre films are always dealing with stuff, but that tackle a subject so deftly and so, so incisively. It's so, because it's not about overt racism. It's something that has to be dealt with a very light touch and with an understanding touch. But then it also hits heavy when it needs to.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely perfectly balanced film. And I think, if it's an early contender for one of the films of the year. I mean, if this isn't in my top 10 of the year, by the end, I will be flabbergasted.
It's going to be a good year.
Yeah, this is a really, really solid film. And, if I'm not going to give it a 9, I don't really give out 10s. But if we're on a out of 5-star, I'm going to give it a 5. If I'm going to give it out of 10, I'm going to give it a 9, just because that perhaps, it's loosely. I'd have to nitpick to find faults with this film, and maybe there's things in the kind of. I don't want to go into it. I don't want to go into any of the nitty gritty, because I don't want to detract from a film. I think pretty much just hits the nail on the head. Secondly, it would be mindly spoilery, and I don't want to take away the surprise of anything. And it's just fucking excellent.
It sounds like I actually need to go watch it and discover the world of horror thriller.
It's an enjoyable film. It's funny. It's really funny in points. He's got a friend, Rod, who's a TSA, like a terrorist, works at an airport as terrorist prevention kind of thing. And he's a kind of fat comedy character, but that has some of the biggest laughs I've seen in any film of the year. Like, it's one of the funniest films I've seen in a long time, but also one of the kind of the most astute and intelligent. And his cat, you will love his, I don't want to spoil the gags. I don't want to spoil the scares. I don't want to spoil where it goes, but it's really fun, as well as being tense and twisty turny. And God, there's some things in it. I would like you to see it, because then I think we can do a kind of, there's a lot to get into in the final third, but it's mental and great.
Okay, I'll make an effort to try and fit some time in to see it.
I think You should.
I think I
Okay,
should.
so it's a fucking great film. Everyone should see it. Honestly,
Definitely
I've
with
got
that rating, I reckon everyone needs to see it.
I've got to talk about this. I've got to tell you about Southampton's very own Creeper. I have since 2010, probably since a couple of albums came out in 2010. Ghost, if you ever Ghost, one of an album, a band who came in with a kind of visual concept and an auditory perspective that they just nailed first time round, and then they only got better. Well, their third album got better. Second was a Creeper are a band that they're a rock band. They're a punk rock band. They're a goth rock band. There's even elements of fucking emo and pop punk and pop rock. They're a very, very pop centric band. They sound, to call these songs earworms doesn't even do them justice. These latch onto your ears like fucking leeches. These are the catchiest songs I've heard.
I've never heard that before.
Okay, well, they are, but horror punk in the vein of something like Misfits or, whatever. They've been easily compared to bands like My Chemical Romance, if they were a good band, or AFI, who are like my faves. There's a lot of similarities there, but there's as much similarity between those kind of punk bands and goth bands, and there's a lot of The Cure in there, but there's also as much inspiration from stuff like Queen and fucking, I don't know, obviously The Cure, but Queen and David Bowie and these kind of flamboyant rock stars. The frontman's a guy called Will Gould, and I have never seen someone that commands what he's singing with such absolute conviction as this guy from the word go. They have a visual style, they have a sound style. They're inspired from, some of their songs are pretty hardcore punk. Some of them are just, straight up pop rock that you could hear on the most mainstream of radios.
Yeah.
They are off the chain. I have not heard a better album this year. Even with my favorite band, Mastodon, releasing an album in 2 days, I don't see how it's going to beat this, because this has surprise. This has
big coming from you.
This has the element. Yeah, if anyone's been following the albums of the day, I've been doing Mastodon week in the lead up to Mastodon's new record. But Creeper are going to be my first record of the day once I've done Mastodon, and expect to hear me splooge all over this record. But like for you, there's acoustic numbers on this. There are kind of, there's an acoustic country track which is done by the kind of backing vocalist Hannah Greenwood, which has this lovely dynamic between the kind of male voice and the female voice. You've got kind of emo crooners like Misery, which has this kind of key line, which Misery's never goes out of style. But these songs are so damn catchy, and you've got the opening single, Black Rain, is one of the catchiest songs I've ever heard. Suzanne is literally just like the most triumphantly catchy rock song I've heard all year. Misery's a wicked song. Room 309 is just a proper punk song. This is the thing. They throw a lot into the witch's brew of what is their sound.
And they're just hitting everything.
They're doing it. Everything sticks. It's like they throw in glam rock, it sticks. They throw in, Bowie or Roxy Music style crooner, new wave music, it sticks. They throw in hardcore punk, it sticks. They throw in a bit of country, it sticks. These guys have, on their first go around, they've released 3 EPs. So they've been playing and touring and working out how they gel as a band for a while. It is incredible that a band can do an album this good on their first go around. I have one gripe, which is the opening of Black Rain, which is the opening song on the album, has this really, for me, cringy and emo-centric little bit of spoken word dialogue for about 20 seconds at the beginning that just grinds my gears a little bit. It's not what I want to hear at the beginning of an incredible banger. Every song is a banger on this album. I cannot praise these guys enough. And they're from Britain, and they are. I mark my words. These guys are going to be the biggest rock band in the UK by the end of the year. By the time their second album comes out, you will not be able to
Not listen.
hear or see for Creeper.
Creepers. Oh, I don't know if they'll stick with their logo though.
I like their logo. What, the pink Creeper?
Yeah.
I love it. They've got an aesthetic. They're very inspired, obviously, by bands like Misfits. The early, probably pretty much the first example of horror punk, which is you who don't know anything about punk or horror punk, or if you type in Misfits, you'll know the logo. The logo has become synonymous with young emo punk kids. It's a skull that is very, very iconic.
Yeah,
and
maybe I have seen that before.
Have you typed in Misfits? You will have seen.
I just know it,
Yeah, 100% you'll know. I bet you £1 million. Anyway, Creeper off the chain. That's all I want to say about it. I'm done. Peace out, motherfuckers.
See ya.
Drop mic. I don't know.
Don't drop it, you'll break it.
Yeah, I give it a fucking 9.5. I'll give it a 10. Oh, I'll take that back.
Oh, you give it a 10? No. You never
I don't give it a 10. The only reason I'm not going to give it a 10
is because of that start.
Partly because of that start, but that would be really pedantic. But it's because I want to allow them room to get better, if they can.
Okay.
Maybe it all goes downhill from here. Maybe they just suckle at the mainstream teat and, just become a 1975 or one of these, big, what the media is telling us is rock music today, but it's just, the same kind of commercialized, packaged pop music that's just getting rammed down everyone's throats. Maybe they do that. Maybe this is the unbeatable high that they can't do better than. But I'm hoping this is like Ghost, like I don't know, any other number of band, Baroness, or fucking whatever, whoever else, like the old ones like Metallica or I don't care, Black Sabbath. I'm hoping this is where they start, and they only got up to go from here.
Let's pray.
Yeah, mate.
That's all we can do. Let's just hope it's not a fluke.
It's not, because the thing is, their EPs have shown enormous, catastrophically high potential.
Yeah.
And the fact that they can then, and it's paced perfectly. The album flows like no album I've heard all year. From start to finish, there's ups, there's downs, there's quiet moments, there's loud moments. The way the songs are structured is so inspired. The hooks, the choruses are enormous. The way Will belts these tunes, you just buy it. You're invested by what he's putting into what he's shouting, what he's singing, and it sounds fantastic. Good.
That's a pretty solid review.
Mate, that's been a review special, that has.
It was special. It was, you got 2 9 out of 10s / 10 out of 10.
Easily. They're both, if I gave out 10s, they'd both be 10s.
So you pretty much just did give them 10s.
No, I think we should stick to a 5-star rating, because then, they're both those. Get Out film is a 5. Creeper out of 5 is a 5, hands down.
And Power Rangers,
Power Rangers, you gave a solid 3-star to.
It's worth watching. Hey.
I'm excited. Let's just give a little sneak peek of what's going to be happening. We are both going to be seeing Ghost in the Shell.
And we're going to review it.
You're going to have our unadulterated, straight up reactions. We're both going to be bouncing off each other. We're going to see, will we like it? Won't we like it? You'll be able to get that on the full podcast. We're going to put it on YouTube. So we're going to be branching out into that space. We're going to have another album of the day every day. Tomorrow's going to be the last of Mastodon's currently released albums.
No.
Once Around the Sun. That's on the 30th, which is also when we'll be seeing Ghost in the Shell. So expect a review of that very quick after. And then on Friday the 31st, Mastodon's new album, Emperor of Sand, which I am rock hard and
already
shimmeringly wet for.
It's okay, because Ghost in the Shell is going to set you up to, with
Well, I don't know.
hardness.
I went back and watched the original Ghost in the Shell, which I'd seen many years ago, but I whacked it out on Blu-ray and watched that again to kind of prep myself for it. Still great, still really really good. We'll probably talk a bit about where it came from and
I need to prep.
you don't have, well, I've seen the original Ghost in the Shell a number of times. You haven't, I imagine.
I have not.
Let's leave it at that, and then we can see what the film does for us. We can talk about how it worked for you as a standalone, how it worked for me jumping off the source material.
Okay,
I have
yeah.
Ghost in the Shell 2 here, which I have never seen, but I bought it on DVD, so I'm going to give that a go as well afterwards. But yeah, that's. I'm also going to be seeing the new Korean big budget spy war film called Age of Shadows, which is by my absolute favorite Korean director who did I Saw the Devil, The Good, the Bad, and the Weird, and many more. So I'm very excited about that.
Are you hard again for it?
We will see. We will see how that all goes down. Korean cinema is the shit, and I'm hoping this one delivers. What's Kim Ji-woon? Anyway, if anyone's interested in that, he is a director of.
He's the leader of the North.
Sure. No, these. Sorry, South Korean films. Yeah, let's make that clear. These are South Korean films. North Korean, probably a bit too much propaganda.
Only a bit.
Yeah.
I heard they're not too bad anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I heard it in my own dream.
Oh, you keep telling yourself that. Well, I'm happy. Are you happy?
I'm happy.
Good. We hope everyone else is happy.
Squirrels out.
Squirrels? How I.